So, chapters 10 and 11 are going to start off the staying fresh portion of the book. Staying fresh is going to be a personal challenge to you. It's going to be one of those things that you constantly struggle with. And I call it a personal challenge because there's always something new to learn. There's new software, there's new design trends, and your clients and whoever you work for, they're going to expect you to understand what's new coming down the pipe so that you can offer it to them. And it's a personal challenge because you're going to have to take stock of yourself. You're going to have to see, what do you know and how do you work and how can you continue to grow and take out what's old and learn new things. Just like your portfolio, you're constantly wanting to take out old work and replace it with new work. Well, if you want to stay fresh as a graphic designer, you've got to take stock of what you know now and what you need to know in the future, what your strengths and weaknesses are. That will always, always be part of your job. It's very easy to work a 9 to 5 job day in and day out, week after week. And you're doing the same projects and you'll find yourself working with the same people and doing the same routine. And that feels comfortable and it feels nice, but eventually you'll start to get bored with your job. So if you want to stay creative and stay on top of your game and stay fresh, you've got to light a fire under you. You've got to find ways of getting yourself out of your comfort zone so that you can learn new things. And so chapters 10 and 11, chapter 10 is going to talk about staying fresh in your education and different ways of thinking about learning new things. And chapter 11 is going to talk about ways of giving back to your community. How can you take your design skills and find other people outside of your 9 to 5 job who have design problems that you can help out? So the first way of sharpening your skill that the book will talk about is continuing your education. And for a lot of students, the first thing they think about when continuing their education beyond the 4-year bachelor's degree is they're going to get a master's degree. And typically a master's degree, if it's an MA or an MS degree, will take about 2 years. It's usually 30 hours. Or you can do like Mr. Ivy did and get an MFA, a fine arts master's degree, which is 60 hours. The reason it's so much longer is because you also have to do a thesis. You have to do a written and a visual thesis that goes along with it. But regardless what education that you want to continue doing, ask yourself this: why do you want to get that education? A lot of students tend to go into the master's degree just so they can bide some time before they find a full-time job. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's not what I would recommend doing. Instead, once you get your undergraduate degree, go out and find a job, whether it's an internship, whether it's full-time or part-time employment, and get an understanding for what that industry needs and what you can offer them. And if you find yourself lacking in a certain area and you need more structured education, then go back and get a master's degree. If you'll do it that way, you'll find yourself focusing in on exactly what you need, and you're not going to waste your time kind of generally filling out the whole field. So a lot of students will come in and they'll say, hey, I work in the marketing industry, so I want to know more about marketing. So rather than getting a master's degree in graphic design, they'll get a master's degree in business with an emphasis in marketing. Or maybe they need to know more about website programming, so they'll get their master's degree with an emphasis in computer science or computer programming or application design. Or you can focus on animation, or you can focus on any area that you specifically need. But if you're going to continue your education, don't just go because you want to bide time because it's something else that's expected of you. Go because there's a specific need for it. I don't recommend doing a master's degree just to separate yourself from your competition. A lot of people think, oh, well, there's tons of graphic designers who have their bachelor's degree. I'm going to get my master's, and so I'll be more hireable. The truth of the matter is, most businesses just look at your portfolio. They want to see, can you do the kind of work that they want to hire you for? They don't look at your educational experience outside of where you trained to do that work. Instead, Master's degrees are generally used for people who want to teach at a high school or a college level, or master's degrees are used for people who want to go into management or upper level business type skills. If you're just trying to hone in on one specific area, I wouldn't recommend a master's degree. Instead, try looking for workshops or looking for certification kind of degrees. These will allow you to learn a specific skill or a specific trade in a matter of weeks or just a matter of months, taking a few classes rather than spending 2 or 3 years trying to get a master's degree kind of level. Now, with that said, Chapter 11 talks about connecting with the community. And if you want to really master any area of your degree, if you want to take your knowledge further, I highly recommend teaching. Now, that doesn't mean you have to teach in a classroom, but if you can teach somebody else, if you can connect with somebody and offer a workshop or offer one-on-one tutoring, being able to think about your design problems, whether it's working in a software or learning how to make something or do something, if you can teach it, then that means you can think about all the detailed problems and you've mastered it. For me personally, when I started teaching graphic design, I found myself so challenged that my own personal experience in using the software and learning design really took off, really grew. I've learned more almost in the last 5 or 6 years of teaching than I did in the 4 years as an undergraduate, simply because I had to learn it in a way that I could tell somebody else. It's easy for me to learn it. I understand how to do stuff, but when I work with a student who absolutely doesn't understand it, I've got to think like they do. I've got to think outside the box, and I've got to certainly understand every possible aspect of what I teach. So if you get your master's degree with the intent of teaching, that's definitely going to take you off. But if you can start finding ways of plugging into the community and giving back through teaching, that's the next route that I would definitely recommend for staying sharp. In addition to teaching in the classroom or leading workshops like AIGA and Adobe offer these great week-long seminars or one-on-one workshops, you could do YouTube tutorials. Get you a YouTube account, record your screen, and show people how to create something very simply. You'll find it's actually much more difficult than you think, simply because of all the setup that it takes to do it. But it's a whole lot of fun, and in the end, you'll find yourself really growing. You'll feel that fire. You'll feel yourself wanting to do a lot better, and it'll keep you staying sharp. So pay attention to these 2 chapters, dive deep into ways that you can stay sharp, but also look at yourself personally. Where are some things that you can grow? Where are some things that you can get rid of the old ways of thought so you can learn new aspects of it? Next week, we'll continue on staying sharp in this section.